My girlfriend of a year slept with another guy while we were taking it slow, a month into dating me. I have been with this girl, I'll call Sarah, for close to a year now. Since specifics matter here, we started dating around last Thanksgiving, but it was only about a month later when we said we were in an official relationship. I really liked this girl from the get-go, and we've gotten very close since then. We're actually planning on moving together soon. Here's the problem. Recently, Sarah and I ran into a guy at a small gathering with mutual friends. They exchanged a weird look, like there was something between them, but I didn't think too much of it at the time. During the party, something came up about the place Sarah went to for a date. The time was clear since it was a Christmas market in my town, and again, I thought something was off about the guy. Well, later that night, I actually got a text from him. He got my number from one of the mutual friends, but said, "Hey, I don't know you, but I thought you should know that Sarah and I hooked up right after Christmas." I confronted Sarah about this, and I could tell she tensed up right away. She got this sad look on her face, but confessed immediately. She said she had met this guy on Tinder and hooked up a couple of times, but stopped any contact before we became official. She said she wasn't sure we would get into a relationship at that time, but she still felt bad that I found out this way. She said she considered telling me, but was afraid it would ruin things between us. I told her I needed some time to think and proceeded to get drunk that night and ignored her texts. The thing is, I feel very betrayed, and I'm really considering ending things. Sure, we weren't official when this happened, but we had already been on multiple dates at that time, and I thought it was pretty clear that we were moving towards a full-fledged relationship. On my side, I had no interest in pursuing other girls at that point because I only wanted to be with Sarah. On her end, she was definitely hinting at us evolving into a couple and strongly hinting at exclusivity. The other part that kills me is that during this early stage, Sarah specifically said she wanted to take things slow physically until we knew each other better. But during this same time, she hooks up with a guy she barely knew from Tinder. When I asked her about this, she said it's different because she took it slow with me specifically because she thought we would get into a relationship, but it was somehow different with a casual hookup. That logic makes zero sense to me. I don't really want to talk about it with my friends because I think they would hate Sarah if we end up staying together, but I would like to hear opinions here. Would you stay in a relationship like this if things were going well, but the beginning was so shady? TLDR, my GF met up and hooked up with a guy while we were dating, but not officially, while she was taking it slow with me. Relevant comments. Comment 1. In my opinion, if you're dating someone and moving towards a serious relationship, you don't freaking bang other people. This would be a deal breaker for me, but you do you, man. If you can't get past it, then end it. OP. Yeah, that's how I feel as well. It would have been one thing if she was just talking to other guys in the early stages while we were still defining things. Of course, that's fine and normal. But it feels like a slap in the face that she found another guy to sleep with after we had already gone on quite a few dates. And I made it clear I thought we were moving towards a serious relationship, which she seemed to also acknowledge. There is no way she didn't know I would feel hurt that she did that. OP also added to a deleted comment. Her logic made no sense to me. She tried to explain that with guys she wants to be in a relationship with, she wants it to feel special and wants to build an emotional connection. But for guys she sees no future with, she sometimes just wanted some physical fun that meant nothing. But I just can't wrap my mind around that. It feels like a gut punch that as we were getting closer and building a connection, she didn't want to be intimate with me, but instead preferred to find someone else. No matter how she rationalizes it, it's hard not to feel like a second choice of sorts. Update. As the title says, I decided to break up with Sarah. I kept going back and forth because I was worried I was throwing away a great thing over something that happened in the past. But the problem is, I thought I really wouldn't be able to get past it. I can't help feeling what she did was really shitty. Yes, I know that technically she did not cheat, but she knew that I wanted a real relationship and that we were potentially moving in that direction. Meanwhile, she expected me to plan and pay for interesting dates, court her, and prove that I was worthy of her, while she happily hooked up with randos who basically did nothing but show an interest in sex. That, and in a follow-up conversation, it also came up that her friend sort of guided her to act like this, that she should basically allow herself to have fun and to keep her casual options open. But with me, to make me work for it, and show that I wasn't just looking for sex, but was capable of being a committed partner. The whole thing just seems so manipulative and ugly. And these were also mutual friends who I considered to be nice girls, and now my friends as well. Now I never want to see any of those worthless people ever again. Anyway, I know this is starting to sound a bit like a rant, lol, but I felt pretty pissed off and basically called it quits. The actual breakup was actually quite unpleasant. No harsh words were exchanged, but Sarah cried, and we kind of talked about some happy times. I guess that's the hardest part about this. Like, I don't think she is a bad girl, and maybe we could have had a nice future together, like we did over the past few months. But in the end, I do think I made the right decision. I want to be with someone who treats me well from the get-go, not someone who manipulates me while playing games just so she can have her cake and eat it too. Now to the next story. Story 2. My wife made negative comments about our daughters posing for her school photos. Am I wrong for getting angry at my wife over this? I am 60 and have been married to my wife, who is 51, for around 15 years. We also have a beautiful daughter named Minji, 17, who is in her junior year of high school. Yesterday after school, Minji came up to me and my wife and showed me her school pictures, both her individual photo and her group grade photo. They were taken all the way back in February, but they had just arrived today. I complimented Minji and told her how beautiful she looked in the photos before telling her how proud I was to see her grow up throughout the ages. Before showing my wife the pictures of our daughter, it did not go the way I thought or hoped it would go. Instead of looking at it for a bit before saying something, my wife immediately pointed out to Minji that she was looking too downward at the camera and that her eyes looked strained or forced. I was a bit taken aback at first, but I decided to just keep listening. My wife then said to my daughter that she would have to have rehearsals for school pictures with her for next year because, in my wife's words, Minji still doesn't understand how to properly pose, smile, and look beautiful for a school picture. I was a bit irritated, but I let it slide. What set me off, though, was my wife then said, Minji's picture is a fail. Honestly, Chloe looks the prettiest out of everyone. Minji got quiet and said, I'm going to be honest, my picture this year is really bad compared to sophomore year. I got mad. That evening, we had a huge argument in the living room. I told my wife that she was being cruel to our daughter, and since school pictures were over, there was no point being so picky over it. My wife retaliated, saying that even Minji says that she doesn't like how she looks in her school picture. I was just being honest. I'm only trying to help her. She then went into her room and started crying, saying that I don't understand her. I will admit I raised my voice while we were having that argument, and I'm seriously sitting here questioning myself about whether I was wrong or not. After our argument, I knocked on Minji's door, and I could tell by her expression that she had listened to every piece of the argument. I feel bad because I may have overreacted to something as simple as school pictures. Plus, I ruined my daughter's evening and my wife's too, and I also made my wife cry. TLDR, I shouted at my wife after she made some comments about my daughter's school photos, and I'm wondering if I'm wrong. Edit 1. This is not the first time my wife has said something like this. This is why I feel even more terrible, because I let my daughter suffer like this. I did give my wife a word or two, but I always told Minji that this was just the way she spoke and that she really did love her. I really want to cry right now, especially overhearing Minji crying herself to sleep last night. She always kept a brave face around me and my wife, but it just breaks me even more now knowing she feels like she can't talk to me either. I failed her. Minji always asked me every morning if she looked beautiful. She would always ask at mealtimes if she was eating too much. I'm so afraid of the damage we both put her through for so long. I'm so scared she's going to develop an eating disorder, and I'm going to make sure to set things straight with my wife and take care of my daughter better. She is always my first priority. Edit 2. I was taken off guard even though my wife has made responses like this in the past because, though it's not the first time, I had a little bit of hope left that she wouldn't point out Minji's appearance so outright in her school photo. Relevant comments. Commenter. I am guessing based on the fake name that your wife is Korean. I know beauty standards there are super high, and she could be projecting her own insecurities and maybe even comments that she got when she was young. Of course, this is not okay, but it could be worth sitting down with her and having a talk. Opie, you're right. Me and my wife are both Korean. The beauty standards there are super tough, so I'm probably going to talk to my wife privately to understand why she said that, and check up on Minji a bit before talking with my wife. I know she's super shaken up, so the best I can do is be the best father I can. To another commenter, I've lived in the States longer than in Korea now. Commenter, Do Korean women tend to have very high beauty maintenance standards? And no, you are not in the wrong. Teenage girls are already extremely sensitive about their looks, so your compliment was kind and nurturing. Opie, I cannot speak on the behalf of everyone. I know that the beauty standards are extremely tough there. I've heard people commenting about the fatness or skinniness of people's bodies. I've sometimes heard conversations about K-pop idols' bodies and faces, makeup, surgery, etc. Later that night in comments. Hello everyone, Opie here. Tonight, since my wife is working a night shift today, I decided I'm going to stay together with Minji for a father-daughter date. I know it doesn't matter whether we go out or not. All that matters is that I'm with her. I'm planning on making her some of her favorite foods and spending quality time as an apology for not being there when I should have been. She loves Jep Galbi and cream bujopang. I asked Minji beforehand whether she wanted to stay at home or go out, and she wanted to stay home, so she chose to go with the first option. I'll let you know how it goes. Update, July 16th, 2024, about 5 weeks later. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for their generous comments and advice. As promised, here is the update. After my wife left for work, I decided to check up on my daughter. She was in her room doing homework, and I could tell by the forced expression that she was not okay. As she talked, everything began to make sense. My daughter overheard her mother shaming her in front of the other church moms. She heard them boasting about their kids, and her mother would use condescending modesty. For example, she's gained weight, and she doesn't even study hard. She was tired of trying to surpass my wife's expectations. She couldn't stand it when my wife was in the house. She asked me, why am I her diamond? She cuts me to make me shine. How much more of this should I take? I prepared all the foods I promised to make, and she was hesitant but ate a lot more than when my wife was around. She wanted to further talk with me. I then asked if she wanted me to tell my wife how she felt. Minji said it was the only way to get her to listen before telling me she wants me to get a divorce. I asked her if she was absolutely sure, as it was something very serious. She said she was fine with it. I'm just devastated it has reached this point. When Minji was at school, I had a conversation with my wife. I brought up Minji's concerns along with mine. I asked my wife what made her put down my daughter on the day of the school picture incident. She made excuses, such as having bad days. Hence, she'd accidentally release her anger and other emotions by yelling, the silent treatment, etc. I questioned further if there was anything in the past that was bothering her, to which she replied snarkily, nothing is bothering me. I raised her into a better person. If you have problems with how I'm raising her, she's all yours. I don't want to argue anymore, especially with a sensitive, lazy person like you. We had a lot of arguments in the past on raising Minji. This phrase was used in all of our arguments to shut me up, as Minji was consistently used as an emotional punching bag and a trophy for my wife. This was the last straw. I told my wife we were done, then told her to pack up and leave. I thanked her for letting me realize my sense of self-worth. After some time had passed, she had driven to her parents' house and was staying there for a bit. When Minji came back, she noticed her mom's room was a lot neater than it was and knew what had happened. I hugged Minji and told her I was sorry for the mess I had caused, before reassuring her that nothing was her fault. I told her my ex-wife would come back a few more times to collect the rest of her stuff, but our relationship was over. This event shook me up a lot, but I know things will get better. I'm trying to make Minji always feel loved. Minji, you are my universe, and that will never change. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.